Hi, she's Trixie, and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of yarn crafts and all that it gives us and what we hope it gives you. We're on episode 112. Yes, 112 today. And, you know, I don't really know where this episode's going to go or what it's going to end up being titled yet. Y'all know. But we just have a lot of things that we're working on, and, you know, I find it interesting how a lot of us bounce back to things that we are always so much more comfortable in, and how it still gives us the same amount of joy as trying new things.
Right.
You know, and I find that very honestly interesting how
it works out.
Well, just how comforting it brings you.
Yeah. For me, bouncing back means blankets. And I wasn't going to. I was going to try and find something else. But this coming week, or starting on Friday.
For you.
Yeah. Today's Wednesday. This video will be coming out on Friday. And then Friday I will be gone. I am leaving for a writing excuse me. A writing retreat. And not coming back until the following Tuesday. And it's solo. I'm having a solo writing retreat, an hour and a half, 2 hours away from home. And I'm looking forward to it. But, so
It kind of makes sense that you would choose to have the time that you already have set aside for your projects not be something too challenging,
Right.
Be something that you already know how to do it and what you want to do.
Right.
Just because you're already planning and prepping for your other known,
Yeah.
you know, hobby
Yeah.
to be given more attention.
Right. So what I did was as the challenge is this year to find something new to do, I am doing a new stitch. So this is the moss stitch by Hooked by Robin. I don't know what's wrong with my voice, just a minute.
Everybody take a drink of water, Mom.
And it is very, very pretty.
I don't think it was made by this person, but
It's the video I watched to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And so, if you would like to learn how to do it, it's Hooked by Robin, and it's called the Moss Stitch.
MOSS.
Yes. And I am using 2 yarns.
Oh, go figure.
With a 10mm hook, and one of them is a mandala. So it is ombre all the way through. The other one's a solid, and I love this. So it's just a small blanket, just a small sample, but I am doing I'm just loving the transitions of the colors and this stitch, and just being able to hop along and get each row done quickly. And it's such a nice little challenge. Now it is a challenge for me because, as I was telling Sarah before this video, I'm so used to doing a half double crochet with the 2 yarns that I really have to remember not to yarn over before I start, because it's a single crochet and then you chain 1 in each gap. Now hers, the Hooked by Robin,
Single crochet, or
yes.
Oh, so that first row was hard.
Yeah. Well, it's everything, because I'm used to yarning over.
Oh, this is just a single crochet?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's this 10mm hook. My bad.
Yeah.
Got it.
So when you see her version, it's going to look a lot different, because one, she only uses 1 yarn
She's also
at a time.
Yeah, she's alternating yarns per row.
Yes, she changes color each row, but she uses 1 yarn per row.
Yes. So it shows off that color
Yes,
per row.
and it shows off the stitch much better than I'm doing here. Although I do like the effect that this is having, because it almost looks like, and you're not going to be able to see it, almost looks like a basket weave. Going down and across and down and across and down and across. And I like that. So right now I am using a dark green and a pink mandala. And it's such a fun combination, but you have the darks and the lights, and that's how you do 2 yarns at a time. And I'm using my Furls 10mm hook. So, yep, that's what I'm doing. I also wanted to let you know that the blanket that I finished and showed you last week, I did not have a video of. This week I do. And I'm going to have a video of it, a short little clip at the end of this video. So stay tuned and watch for that, because I want you to see the whole thing in its entirety. It turned out prettier than I thought it was going to. And so I wanted you to know that. Also, I forgot to mention that Sigoni Macaroni, I forgot to put her name into the description last week, so I'm going to do that this week.
For what?
I'm trying to think what
The reference is for?
Yeah.
We must have been talking about something last week and you wanted to reference her for an idea that you saw that you were sharing. And you plan to put her in the description bar?
Yeah, I talked about it for some reason. So yeah, I'll put her name in the, I think it's a stitch that she was, yeah, it was the grit stitch or something. She was showing how to do it better than I was going to be able to show you how to do it. And so I wanted you guys to watch that video.
Was it a grit stitch something you used?
Or
I'm
not sure. I'm not sure if it was the grit stitch or not. I'm thinking not. I'm going to have to go back and watch the video now.
Was it used in the blanket?
No. No. I have no idea.
It's all good. My mom, when she does the description bar, she will already remember what it was that she was trying to share. So when she puts the link to this person's channel, she'll also remind you what she was trying to share, what she remembers it was supposed to be for.
Oh, goodness. I left myself a note and didn't even write a good enough note to tell me what needed to be done.
Oh, I know. It's all good. It happens.
So, and what are you working on this week?
Okay, so regarding last week's, me talking about the cardigan I'm making for myself, I did decide to add a color. I decided to...
So let's see it.
Did you not notice?
I'm just waiting for you to show me.
Oh. So this is what I had done last week. And it's still where I'm at with this panel.
Oh, wow.
And
how nice.
It now is bordered.
Yes.
So it's much more crisp. And I'm really enjoying this checkered pattern. I do have it at an angle so that when I'm doing the collar, it comes much more naturally to the
like a V-neck.
Yep. Now, on my next one, I plan to make much more thicker blocks, so it's going to be a little bit bigger checkers on the other side. I had already started on that, but I did not bring it because I am not as satisfied with how my version of getting it done from corner to corner, the color transitions are working for me. So I want to try, and I haven't gotten very far. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to be more successful in the color transitions in this regard before I just commit to this big, this big panel where I feel like the tails and the ends are coming out everywhere and you're going to notice and see it. I want to master it while I'm still in the beginning stages. So if I have to rip it out a couple times, I'd rather do it now than not. So, but I noticed something. Though it fits my though it fits my shoulder well and it V's neck into the middle well, I wasn't compensating for my side very well when I made this this panel. And so now, a lot of patterns will say, make sure you're thinking about your side, and if it comes over your shoulder a little bit, it doesn't matter. You can still extend the arm afterward, and it doesn't matter. There's a lot of give with yarn. You can make it work. It won't bunch too bad. I was like, okay, but I really just didn't think about that when I was making this. I was making it in the size of what I thought would work for what I thought was half of my front, and it is, but I'm not giving the, the fact that I have, the measurements of my sides to add into the front, back, and also have give for the sides. Right. I was almost making this 2-dimensional instead of 3 in a way. Right. So what I decided was this pattern, this black and white, could go good with many a color. You could add any one other solid to it, and it'd really work. But I really thought that this shade of red that I had would just go so well.
Red, black, and white are so classic.
And I know this is really kind of creating much more of a matte effect because of our lighting, and our lighting is a little bit more yellow, but this is a very, very nice red.
It is.
And so I have it set where it's going to be a complementary panel for my sides, and it will be my side panels for both sides as a peekaboo color, and then I'll make my arms, I think, a solid color. I'm going to make it a solid black, but I think the red is going to be like my collar's color and my cuffs color.
Oh, nice.
So I'm still doing black and white for the majority, but this will make sense throughout the pattern. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out the theme, because last week I just said that the backs panel could be any number of
designs.
Picture designs, and I have a lot of them, especially now that I've chosen red. That means that I can kind of play around with what I want to do. Now, I'm not quite sure whether I am confident enough yet to say which one I'm going to do, so by the time I know, either I will have enough done for you guys to either notice and be able to make guesses, or it will be far enough along where it's going to be obvious enough to share. But I do have both red side panels done.
So cool.
And again, I have already started working on the front one for the other side, but I'm trying to figure out the best way of making the tails and the color changes more seamless so they're not as noticeable. Because anyone who's done corner to corner knows my white and black on here are all one row. So I'm changing colors once per row. And with making this where it's like I'm trying to make bigger blocks, and with the corner to corner, I'm changing mid-row. Yeah. And so it becomes a little bit more, and it's not as easier when you're going in a line horizontally. I'm going at diagonal. Yeah. And so I'm just trying to figure that out. But so far, besides choosing my theme for the jacket and accepting the red and working on that, I have so many different ideas that are fishing around in my head for front place when it comes to the back panel. Yeah. And so I'll probably be bouncing them off of my mom's head later after the video, because I still want it to be a surprise. So I
have one too, and I can introduce it to you when we're off camera.
Okay, so we got that. I feel like I've already shared this little.
I don't think you have.
Okay, so randomly, probably a couple months, about a month ago, I was just crafting and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. So I just started randomly working with yarn that was in front of me, and I made this little thing. It is a spiral patterned in red and white, and then I bordered it with green because, Christmas, I guess. and I still don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's really the size of a coaster,
Yeah.
but I also thought I could make an ornament out of it. There's a lot of things I could still do with it, but you know, I found it in my craft bag and I figured I'd share. Things happen, okay? Now, as I've been brainstorming my jacket, that doesn't take away the fact that I still have to kind of prioritize my time with other projects. And especially with a lot of things coming around the corner. But certain things come into demand with me, where it's like the situation happens and then I have to kind of jump on it. So the situation I'm doing right now is what I'm making right here. Now, my mom, a while back, made these small blankets for all the kids. And they were meant to be like playing with their toys. They can wrap them up and have them as play blankets because of how small that they are.
And it was just using up scraps.
It was using up scraps, and this is the one that my son has. He uses it with his toys as blankets for their little beds, for like stuffies or whatever. But the fact is that my son is very slim. He is a very tall and slim child. And so when me and him have to get his older sister, my eldest, to the bus stop, I've been telling him, because I've been kind of throwing on one of the blankets that I have just lying around the house. I'll just throw that on because the bus is not that far away from us. The bus stop, we are very blessed to not be that far away from. So we just kind of will throw a blanket on because she will have her jacket or whatever it is that she's going to wear to school. And I've been telling him, throw this little blanket over your shoulders. So he'll throw it over his shoulders and hold it, and it's a cape. And he has something to wear, and he's super excited about it. And because I tried, and I do have pictures of him wearing some of your big scrappy blankets. But you can imagine how heavy they are.
Well, and if he trips over it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like when he wears it, he's just drowned. He looks like he's drowning in this blanket. Yeah. So I had him put this one on the other day, and it was just like the perfect size to be draped over him, but it's still not fully covering all his arms. Like he's holding it right here so that he has one arm open because it's kind of like a cape. And it occurred to me I could make him like a little poncho. Now, I feel like my visual, like very artistic drawing is not going to be exactly that helpful in explaining, but I plan to I'm not making a poncho where it is it's a square that's shifted as being a diamond where the corners, there's a corner over here, and then it points into a triangle into like his belly button and into his back. I'm making it where it's going to be a flat rectangle on his front and his back where it's draping completely over his arms like a blanket with a hood. And I have already started on it. He's been talking about how much he likes green recently.
Yes.
So it's the same green I used on this. It is Red Heart Super Saver in the color Hunter Green. And I was looking on Pinterest. I was just trying to figure out random kid poncho patterns / idea inspirations. And I already have figured out how I want to do it. I've taken his measurements, and so I'm just going for it. And we'll see how my interpretation of this poncho fits him once it's done. I'm hopeful that it works out. But I realized I could just throw... I recognize I could just throw a hoodie on him. But there's something about Caniel and getting ready for the bus.
Right.
Where if there's something that makes it more fun, where it's like...
Fun and easier.
He can throw it on himself.
Yes.
He does not need help pulling it over his head. It can be something that we can play as it being a superhero outfit. It's a wearable blanket, something that I made for him.
And his colors.
Mm-hmm. So I know that's going to benefit him. Right now, it's just a big line, and it's green. And
single crochet?
Nope, double.
Okay.
I am not doing any design. It's just going to be flat.
Yeah.
I need this to be as thick while realistically building up on itself so there's not as many holes
Build
as
it
possible.
fast.
To make a durable material while also not it being excessively brittle in design where it's lacy or anything or there's
Yeah.
holes. I'm hopeful that this works well. I'm hopeful that my measurements hold up true for me and that the way that this turns out does turn out for the best for him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that I'll have this done by next week. I'm adamant that I'm going to get this done soon.
I'm going to interject. I remembered. It's the cowl.
Oh, yeah.
Sigoni Macaroni did the cowl, and I wanted you to watch the video
Yes.
because of how she did it.
Yes. Got it. Yes. Because
So that's what it was.
Because when we were starting the video, I kept thinking about how almost all of mine are wearables, and I was like, you're making a blanket, but I feel like you just did a wearable. But in my head, the only thing I could think of was the s'more. I was like, no, that's not. She didn't do a wearable, but yeah you did. That's what my. Yeah, got it.
So
Cool.
that's what it is, and I will put it in the description area so that I'm just going to put the name. You're just going to have to find it. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay, last thing I'm going to share before we go on to talking about what we're doing a quote today is that with my mother-in-law,
Her birthday's in November.
and I am excited because there's a lot of things that have been in waiting, like a blanket that I have been working on over time to finish for her that I will be completing by then. That is already in the works to be worked on. But I mentioned to my mom and to my husband that I would like to add something because the blanket's something that she asked me to make. I'm not going to finish it and be like, hey, look at that, it's a gift. When she's the one who asked me to make it, that would be... feels like it would be a little bit rude, obviously. But I found this pattern that I feel is just super interesting. I originally was going to make her a table runner, and I still think I will, but maybe more for Christmas. The table runner centerpiece design that I have chosen is... I had a lot of them lined up from Pinterest, and my husband chose one. When I finally found the pattern for it, I think it was on Etsy. It is something that does have an English, and not only just an English, but an American English translation. So it'll have our abbreviations, but it also has an English UK translation for UK abbreviations for the craft as well. But it also has, like, I think it was Dutch and Russian, and you can tell that the creator's primary language is not English.
Right.
So in being able to purchase a pattern, it would be transforming my American dollars into euros. And it's not that I feel like I haven't done that through Etsy, but it kind of left me being like, okay, to be able to figure out what the materials and stuff that I would need, I'd have to purchase the pattern and do that. Or I could do something I know that I have the capability of figuring out in my head, just picking up a yarn and do it. And it wasn't that, because the reality was that I ended up bringing it up to my mother-in-law, and I didn't mean to be a spoil sport where like she just gets to know, but I really was wanting to pick her brain, being like, which one would you want? I want to do something nice for you, but between the table runner and the idea that I had, it was like, which one will fit you better? And all she said was whatever one is easier. And that was the debate. The table runner would be quicker, but would require extra steps. Whereas when I was at the store with my mom, I already knew what I had to do in my head for this other thing that will take more time. But all I had to do was pick up yarn.
Yeah.
And so we ended up choosing that one. And I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but it's called a Ruana. I will try to illustrate its pattern real quick. Flat. So the Ruana is kind of similar to a poncho, but it's built like a long, now this will look like pants, it's not.
Right.
Here, I'll do it like this. So what it is this is the back, and you hang that over yourself where these two flaps that are the same size as this one, equal out, but there's that slit in the middle. Drape over your shoulders and come over your front as if they are the size of a cardigan or something. None of them are sewed together, so it flaps around, but it becomes like this wearable, luxurious blanket.
That goes down your back
And down your front.
Down
Kind
your
of.
front.
It's almost like it. Another way of looking at it would be like a big decorative straight line shawl that has a blanket coming off the back, or like a big thick scarf that you just wear that has the blanket coming back. But it's called a Ruana. Ruana.
Ruana.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that correctly.
Ruana.
So, yeah, Ruana. Sorry. But I was stuck because now that I knew what I wanted to make, I didn't know what design I wanted to use, because I got a yarn that I thought would be perfect for my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is very much business casual. She loves to wear blacks, whites, and grays. And it's not that she doesn't have other favorite colors, but that's her primary wardrobe wear. So I knew that if I stuck in that pattern, that color palette, I'd be safe to know that she was more likely to, it would more likely fit her wardrobe. So I found this yarn is a Red Heart Super Saver ombre that is called, I don't know if I know how to say that word.
Anthracite.
Anthracite. Figure it out for yourself. Where's the name? But it, maybe it's stone.
Yeah, something.
But you can see that it varies from darker to lighter variants of gray. And it's very pretty.
It is very pretty.
And so with this design in tow, and then trying to navigate how to best show off this yarn, I was sitting there being like, okay, you know the design, and it's simple enough where you can figure it out in 3 panels or 1 continuous panel, or I make 2 and then join them and just keep going, or whatever. What are you gonna do? And I found this lace that was just, I sent it to my mom when I found it. I was like, what do you think of this? Like, this is really cool. It's just circles that you make. They almost remind me of the, oh, what are they called? Yo-yos.
Yeah.
They remind me of quilting yo-yos, the circles that you base stitch and then pull together and then iron flat.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I remember those days. But look at that. They're just like, you chain a certain number of chains, join it to the first chain, and then you chain 2 up, and you just double crochet all the way around until you've completed the circle, and then you just figure out the 4 corners so that you know where you're going to join evenly.
Yeah.
It's really all that these are. Obviously, you can choose to follow a pattern from someone who has figured out how to make them lie flat and well and delicate. But just seeing that, that's so simple. But then there was a multitude of variations to use this pattern. You could do the solid like that, but then you could do it where there's multiple colors, where how you line up the circles and sew them together. You're making a multiple layered pattern.
Making it more interesting.
Yes. And I was just like, will this work? Now I'm trying to navigate whether I think that this is too thick.
I don't think so.
Well, here's the thing. these holes in the middle of the so-called kind of like donut are much bigger. So you feel how thick that is right there.
But I still think when you're putting them together that you're going to have this whole diamond here that is still going to work as
but I'm just saying, like, do you think it's going to be delicate enough?
Yeah, I do.
I don't need to start over making these bigger, you think?
No.
See how much bigger that was?
Yeah, but I like yours better. I honestly do. I think it looks nicer.
Now,
and they haven't even seen it yet, so.
I know. Okay, so in making these, what I did was, because this is an ombre yarn, I am obviously doing half and half. So, and I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to do it by rows during the half and half, meaning that I'll do it where it's combining the white rows, and then it will be the gray rows touching, and then do the next color being black.
Okay.
And then kind of striping it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet, because this might just be complex enough.
Yeah.
But in doing the ombre and respecting the yarn change and not making it look all patchy and just random, I am still honoring the ombre by doing it this way. I am making one, I'm going to call it a donut, one little donut, and then I'll set it down and I make the next one and I instantly combine them. But I'm putting a it's a stitch marker on the one in the direction that I am adding them to each other.
Yes.
So that I know that I'm going in the direction that the ombre is being used.
Yeah. So awesome.
Right now, this is, I know this isn't a lot, but part of the reason I did not have a lot going and I wasn't just busting them out was because of the fact that in making this pattern on my own and in applying it in the way that I'm applying it to this sort of a design, I have to have a model to be able to kind of generalize how big I have to make it. And I didn't think about it, but I'm planning to measure my mom out, and a means to kind of get a general idea as to how big I should make it before I just commit, because I have to know. But yep, this is the direction I'm going.
I think it's beautiful.
And I think it's still movie enough, and it'll be thick enough while also having room that it's not going to be like suffocating.
Right, it'll be lacy enough.
Yeah, but it will show off a pattern in a way that I think that she'll be able to appreciate, and hopefully it will be well loved. Yeah. Well, not only received, but loved. Yeah. So, I am pairing it with just this white acrylic that I got at Walmart. It's called, I think it's from their brand. Yeah. It's called Mainstays, Mainstays. And it's 100% acrylic yarn, and I have it in the color, I'm guessing it's just white. White. So I just have this. It's pairing well with the Super Saver yarn. I feel like the Super Saver is a little bit thicker, but I think it's going to work out just fine. And luckily enough, the white yarn from Walmart, you know, if you're willing to buy value yarns where they're acrylics and they are a bit on the cheaper end for more yardage, my friend mentioned that she saw someone say that some of the reasons why people don't care for them, and I would have to agree, is probably because of how much more stiff / scratchy they can be for not being a natural whole fiber yarn like a cotton or something that can be somewhat itchy, or wool. But she mentioned that she saw this lady say that you can condition acrylic yarn and create a softness to it that it's just an added step that's maybe some yarn companies do to try to make their acrylics much more sensory pleasing. Not saying that this is necessary. I feel this white yarn is quite fine, but I feel like that's the one thing that acrylics can sometimes have that can be a complicated relationship to some crafters,
Right.
is that for as durable and as affordable as they are, you're kind of stuck with it not always being the greatest quality and the greatest texture.
Right.
And I'm not quite sure if the soaking them in conditioned water would work, but my friend said that she saw the video that did support that, and or somewhere online that might be something that could be attempted to try to relax.
I think I've
the
seen
yarn.
that too.
So that's a very interesting idea.
Yeah, after you get it all done, you could do that.
Yeah, you can kind of soak the material after you've already used it, or if you already have it in a skein, or if you maybe brace it in something where you're wrapping it around a piece of plastic where you wrap it so the fibers are a little bit more exposed.
Right.
Instead of just being in this already wound state.
Right.
You can kind of soak them before you use them.
Right.
I don't know. I guess it depends on how you would prefer it. Depends on how it affects your hands.
Right.
But right now, I think that I'm going to continue on with this. I'm going to get my mom's measurements to hopefully guesstimate
Right.
how it would fit her. The only thing that's going on in my head that has me a little concerned. With it being like this, no matter how flat it is, you're always going to have those dips. I'm not claiming that isn't the appeal, to have it be a million circles that are connected. But when I'm dealing with the collar, I don't know how I might want to try to flatten that out a little bit. I could actually add a collar just to that portion where everything else is still that kind of seashell pearly edged.
Yeah.
But I feel like the feel of what it's going to feel like right here, because I'm going to have to box it off, it might not just be at a curve like that where it just naturally bends. I think it's going to end up being like this, and I don't know if that's going to be something I want it to look.
Yeah.
I guess that's just, I will see how it looks when it's there, and I'm working on it at that point in stage in the game.
Yeah.
But I think that this is going to be fun, and it's kind of it's considered a lace pattern, so
It's very pretty.
but it's a thicker lace pattern. It's not just delicate. It's, I don't know. It feels very modern.
It does. It does.
So I'm excited, and I'm hopeful that next week when I think I'll be working on the back panel first.
Okay.
I'll commit to the back panel because once I start doing it, I want the front to be even, but because they're not going to be fully attached to each other, I need to know how big the back is going to have to be, and then when I'm doing it the front two sections together. So it'll be one row and then one row, and then one row, so the ombre still comes down evenly.
Ooh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if I do one and then one, they might ombre
Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
and it'd be uneven to the back to the front.
Right. You're right.
So probably gonna do the back first. So we'll get measurements, do that. And then, so that's where I'm at with
So
all
fun.
mine. Sorry.
So fun. So fun.
Sorry, I just kind of brainstormed on the video.
We're going to do this really quickly, and because the time is running out. We're not doing a verse this time. We're doing a quote.
Yes.
And the quote is, "The highest reward for a man's toil is not what he gets for it, but what he becomes by it." And that's said by John Ruskin. And I think it's very fitting for crochet, isn't it? The highest reward for a man's toil is not what he gets for it, but what he becomes by it. We are crocheters. We crochet all different kind of items, and although we toil and we do get for it, we also become something because of it. And I just thought that was really, really neat and very fitting for today.
Well, I know people who, there's a difference between being a writer and an author.
Yes.
So like there's someone who can spend their time writing and be really good at it, but there's a different level that is achieved once you're known for your writing, which is when you're an author.
And authors are also published.
Yeah.
Writers can write all their lives and never be published. So
not saying that that isn't still rewarding. It depends on what you find, rewarding. But it's like the achievements are different.
Yeah.
It takes a different level to be considered a master at something compared to still just be a geek about it.
Yeah.
Another thing that I keep thinking of is, I'm not saying that I'm necessarily a proficient master at what I do, but I'm very comfortable in my stage of learning, and I can't wait to get better.
Right.
But I know that years ago, it probably wouldn't have been the same relationship with me, even with my amigurumis, to have my nephews say, "Man, Sarah, you probably could just make anything with yarn."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I've been doing this for a very long time, so I'm trying to think of what my right estimation would have been. Probably wouldn't be confident to say that people would be saying that about me 10 years ago. And it's not that I wasn't good at it, but my time and dedication and my desire to have things come out at a certain level of excellence creates a different standard of craftsmanship that I feel gives you a different title than just doing it. There's some people who do it for a job or as a pastime, and then there's people that do it because it is their passion, and because it is not just a livelihood, but a way of living for them. It's an extension of who they are because they feel value in how they spend their time and they value what they do.
Yeah.
I think about people who it's like, okay, I can do electrical work and add it to their handyman's list compared to someone who's an electrician who spends their time being that. And I don't know. I felt like that was very interesting because a lot of people will spend their whole entire lives being good at something, but then they feel like they'll achieve something when they've finally got the doctor title or the letters at the end of their name, where it's like, now there's something to prove that I've spent my life doing this.
Right.
There's proof behind it. So the highest reward for a man's toil is not what he gets for it, but what he becomes by it. And part of it can just be the lesson in toiling towards something. It doesn't necessarily have to be a craft as much as the endurance and pushing through something and how it can smooth out rough edges that you didn't even realize that you could benefit from in your life.
Right. Or trying something new in that craft. A different stitch, a different, like making an amigurumi compared to a blanket. Whatever it is, you're becoming something better because you keep up with it.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things that I just feel like it's important to remember, that just because we get recognition from people for what we do, it's not always about the social connection of people seeing it as much as us feeling like we are seen finally by ourselves. We have offered up our ability to be able to prove to ourselves how far we can go with what we want to spend our life knowing that we have achieved. And so sometimes, sometimes having that doctor or even the last letters added to the end of your name for a specialty for where you're at in your life, or it could be just being an author and not just a writer, or all the achievements that you can make. It proves to yourself something.
Right.
It's not always just because it's a public recognition as much as something that you show to yourself that I was willing to take the time to push through this obstacle that I felt was worth it.
Yeah.
To make yarn into material, into an object, into whatever, or just that piece of wood could have just stayed there, but then I made it into something beautiful, or even just being like, I'm going to designate my life to problem solving something out in science or
Right.
doctors or just other means. There's just so many different things that by taking the time to hear what you know you can promise yourself and keep that promise, how powerful that can be.
True. So true.
So, the highest reward for a man's toil is not what he gets for it, but what he becomes by it. John Ruskin. I don't even know who that is.
Not sure either, but it's a good quote.
Well, I hope that everyone that has made it to the end has enjoyed this time.
Yes.
We appreciate everyone who takes our longer videos seriously and comes all the way to the end with us. Not every single time that we have a longer video do we mean to. Sometimes we just we get stuck feeling like we're talking to people that we
like to be with.
Yeah, so
thumbs up, subscribe, and all the YouTube things.
We would, if there's anything in this video that would you'd like to share with friends or family, feel free to do so.
Yeah, share it.
We are always enjoying adding new crafters to what feels like this.
Our friends.
Yeah, and we would just, one of the things I wanted to remember was just for anyone who's made it to the end as well, to remember that if you stick all the way to the end, my mom's added video to be able to see the visual of the blanket that she was trying to share with everyone last week will be fully in view.
Yeah, it'll be attached at the end.
Yeah, but if there's anything you guys ever want us to talk about and or share or talk about our crafting, or just even share below what you guys are working on, we would love for you to let us know in the comments below. We always love hearing from you, and if you would like to share any of our videos with your friends that you feel would be enjoy us just as well, and or might benefit from some of the things that we share inspiration from, feel free.
Yeah.
We'd always love to hear from more people.
Yes, we would.
So, until next time, we hope that you have had a pleasant enough time with us, and that your rest of your day is just as pleasant, and that you stitch your way
to mental health.
Well, here's the blanket all laid out for you. It's not perfect, but it's done. It is variegated in a grit stitch using a 5mm hook. I have 20 squares, and I put them together with a single crochet in between. The yarn I use for the outside and to put it together, I don't know what kind it is or anything. I think I got it from a thrift store, but I just love the fact that it changes all the time. Let me see if I can get this. It's two yarns of varying colors that are wound together that are constantly shifting and changing. And it's so beautiful. I wish I knew what it was so I could tell you guys so you could go get it. But to put this together with that just seemed right and perfect. But just looking at it from all kind of angles for you. Let's see if we can get this. And there you have it. Have a good day.